Hey there, welcome back. My name is Katie and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living. If you're new to my channel, we welcome you. And today we're doing something super exciting. I did this a couple of weeks ago, made this recipe, and we liked them so much. I wanted to go ahead and make a bunch of it and get it in the freezer for some kind of meal prep, quick and go-to meal ideas. These are pupusas. They are a Hispanic, I'm trying to decide how to describe it. It's kind of like a quesadilla, but not not at all. It is made with a corn flour maseca that they use for making like a tamale or a corn tortilla, that kind of thing. And you stuff it with different things. I'm gonna be doing two different kinds today. We're gonna be doing a pork and cheese, and we're gonna be doing a refried bean kind of thing and cheese. And you serve it with a pickled slaw, and they are so yummy. So we're gonna get started, and I wanted to show you, if you've never purchased maseca before, this is what it looks like. I've already measured mine out, so my bag is empty. But this is what it looks like. It is a corn flour for tortillas, tamales, pupusas, empanadas, gorditas, sopas. So that's what we're using today to make this recipe. I will link a video in the description box from a Hispanic lady I do follow here on YouTube. I kind of used her recipe and then maybe some techniques from a different video I had watched, and I kind of meld those two recipes together and their techniques. And we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So one recipe calls for 4 cups of maseca. I wanted to make as many as possible because I have the pork and the beef to use. I had 7 cups total of the maseca, so we'll do 1 and 3/4 of a recipe. So to our 7 cups of masa, we're going to be adding about 3 teaspoons of salt. You just kind of, this is a half teaspoon. All right, 1, 2, and 3. All right, so you just kind of salt it how you want. And then to this, it needs 3 to 4 cups of hot or warm water per recipe. So we're gonna start off with, so one of the ladies I saw, she did all her water at one time. The other one did a little bit at a time. I'm gonna go with a little bit at a time. If you were doing tortillas, you'd put lard in here, melted lard or tallow, along with your hot water. But we're not making tortillas today. So we're gonna get some warm water. So she just kind of did a little bit at a time, and then just mixing it all together, just to try and get all the little lumpies out. To make your dough as smooth as possible. As soon as that warm water hits it though, you can smell that corn. And once you have absorbed all that water, go ahead and add some more. And these really were very easy to make. I was surprised, I was intimidated. I've been wanting to make them for a long while, and I was very intimidated to make them. And they really turned out pretty easy to make. All right, let me get some more water. So I'm doing about a cup at a time of the water. You can wear gloves if you don't want this all over your hands. That's certainly okay to do. I used a bigger bowl last time. I probably should have got my bigger bowl out. So you just stir it around like this, like you're kneading it. And the test is you have a ball of dough and you push on it and it doesn't crack around the edges. So that looks good. So I'm gonna form this all into one big ball. Whoops. If I can. We're gonna let this sit and rest for about 10 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to get my fillings mixed together and heat up my griddles. I'm gonna cover this with some plastic so it doesn't dry out. Okay, so my first filling is the refried beans and cheese. I already made this filling. You can use canned refried beans, but if you want to make your own refried beans, what I do, I like to leave a video up here in the little cards if you want to check that out. For refried beans, what I do is on a pretty high temperature, I will saute some onions in like some avocado oil or bacon grease or something, and then pour my cans. I also canned my own pinto beans, so I poured those in there, and or you could buy canned pinto beans, however you want to do that. And then a little bit of salt, and I cook those down until most of the liquid is evaporated, because for this recipe you want your beans to be pretty thick. Let me grab a spoon so I can show you. So they're pretty thick. This is cold from the refrigerator, but they are thick. And then smash them with a potato masher. And then after they cooled, I stirred in some cheese. I went to my Hispanic market and I bought this pupusa cheese, not realizing if you read further down, or up here, it's just mozzarella cheese. So you can use mozzarella cheese. If I had realized that, I really would have bought what's called Oaxaca cheese. It's a stringier cheese. You could use Monterey Jack, you could do a pepper jack, anything like a melty cheese, you're gonna wanna use that. So this is just refried beans with the cheese mixed in and cooled. And then over here, when my husband smokes meat and he does these larger cuts of meat like a Boston butt for pulled pork or a brisket, we put the extra meat in the freezer for any kind of use another time. We actually made jalapeno poppers the first LSU game was the other night, and he stuffed them with some of this pulled pork. And so I kept the rest of it out of the freezer to use for today. So this is just smoked pulled pork. And I'm gonna mix this with some of this cheese. It's still in some big pieces, and you want it kind of small, and I think actually last time I chopped it up. So let me grab a cutting board so I can cut this up to small pieces, because we're gonna be stuffing our pupusas with this filling. So let me grab a cutting board. Have done the jalapeno poppers with y'all before, but I did them with brisket. So they actually, did I do them? Maybe I did them with pulled pork, because I'm trying to remember the name of the video. So Texas Twinkies are the ones that are made with brisket, and I called, I think, these Memphis Twinkies because I used the pulled pork instead of the brisket. But you can stuff them either way. We stuffed them with cream cheese and the pulled pork, and then wrapped it in the bacon and put them on the smoker for a couple of hours. My son-in-law had never had this before, and he loved them. So we're just gonna chop this up. Let me wash my hands. to wash my hands continuously while I'm cooking. Get this cheese open. I know we tend to think of mozzarella cheese as an Italian cheese, but it's used quite a bit in Hispanic cooking. It is a mild cheese. Hispanics, now, not talking about Mexicans, but Hispanics, like in the Latin American countries, they don't eat a lot of spicy or, I don't want to say not flavorful, because their food is flavorful. It's just not bold flavors like we would have in this. I guess I'm used to my Louisiana cooking where we're very spicy and very bold flavors. I feel like they're more delicate flavors, but still flavorful at the same time, if that even makes sense. And a good bit of cheese in here. Now, this slaw I made, I've already made it because you do make it the night before. And I'll leave the recipe in the description box. All you do is cut up all your vegetables, you marinate it overnight, and it's just a pickled slaw. The recipe calls for jalapeños. I was making this for some friends that are from these Latin American countries, and they don't even like spicy, so I left the jalapeños out of my recipe. All right, so these are our two fillings. And whatever I have left, I'm actually gonna make some burritos for the freezer, and I have some extra tortillas for that. So we're gonna move over to the stovetop and start rolling these pupusas out. So to help not stick our hands to the dough, I have a measuring cup here with just some water in it, and we're gonna add some oil to this, and this will help prevent the dough from sticking. So I'm just gonna drizzle this in here, and we'll just dip our fingers in as needed. I have my dough here. I'm gonna switch places. I have my filling. Now I do have these parchment circles for an 8-inch cake pan. I'm gonna use these as I make, once they go on the griddle, and I'll be making extra to be ready to put on the griddle. I'm going to use these to layer between so they don't stick together. So I'm gonna get these out and ready to go. I want everything out and ready to go, so when we start, we can just fly through this. Let's see, I need something to put them on once they finish. What am I gonna put them on? Sheet pan. Sheet pan out and ready. Get my spatula out and ready. Perfect. And you wanna make sure your dough stays moist, so as you're not using it, you wanna cover it back up. So you want to take a good sized dough ball here, and we're going to make it into like a softball, small baseball, and kind of flatten it out, and then you kind of make a bowl with it. And I did not wet my hands, so here we go. All right, so you want to kind of flatten it out and make like a cup. And you're gonna fill this cup with your filling. We're gonna pull our filling back up around, our dough back up around our filling here. And any excess dough, we're gonna just pinch that right on off. Throw that back in our bowl. And now we're gonna start flattening this out. And you want to cover up anything that might have filling showing through, and you could just kind of smooth your dough out. It's not like a flour dough that has gluten and is sticky. This, you can kind of smooth it all around, and we're going to flatten it out. So cover it back up all these little areas that I have flattened too far. And that pork, Also, because it's got texture to it, unlike the beans, it will kind of want to poke through. So just cover it back up. I'll cover it back up. If you need to get a little pinch of the dough to cover up those areas, you can do that. And that's it. And we'll throw this on our griddle and that will cook. All right, so let's keep making. That one was kind of big, so I'm gonna go a little smaller this time. Of course, if we're going smaller, we're gonna use less filling. All right, we're gonna make this into a ball. We're gonna press it out and make our little well here for our filling. A little less filling this time. Pull our dough up around our filling, pinch off the excess, throw that back in our bowl, and then just start shaping it out like a pancake. And that's it. There we go. Throw that on our grill. All right, I'm gonna keep rolling, and we will come back when it's time to taste test. Should I go ahead and do a bean one for you? It's basically the same. Let me grab the beans, I'll do a bean one for you. All right, we're making our dough bowl. This is basically assembly line. I do have these griddles on like a medium low because you want to make sure you cook all the way through. I mean, our filling is cooked already, but you want your masa dough to cook all the way through. All right, so here's our potato. I don't know why I keep saying potato. You really could stuff these with potato. Like a mashed potato. Pinch off our excess here. I wonder if I should have heated my beans up just a little bit so they were softer. But actually that's flattening out pretty good. Okay. So there's our bean one. We'll go on the griddle. I'm gonna keep it separate than the pork ones. All right, now I'm gonna keep going and we'll be back when it's time to taste test. All right. These are beautiful. This is the color you want. So we're gonna move these over to our sheet pan. Check our other ones. My burners or griddles have hot spots, of course, because this is my bigger burner and that's the smaller one back there. And then this one in the middle, just half of it doesn't work. So I have to keep just rearranging as I go. And that's no big deal. I keep rolling and keep griddling. Trying to see if I can pick both these trays up at one time to show you everything we were able to make. We got 19 of the pork ones and 8 of the bean ones. Bean and cheese, pork and cheese. I want to save more of the beans to do the burritos if I ran out of dough. And I ran out of dough, so I was able to make 27 total pupusas with the dough I made. So it gives you kind of an estimate. And let's go ahead and try one of these while they're still warm and yummy. Very hot still. I want to break this open. Whew, that is still hot. Give me a second for it to cool off. All right, let's go ahead and break this open. Got a little bit of a crunchy texture on the outside. Ooh. And it is still very hot. Maybe I should cut it. All right, here we go with our beans and our cheese in there. That is so good. It's almost like an inside out bean and cheese nacho. So good. I also like mine with some salsa. I have some homemade salsa I made. Never made homemade salsa before. So good. I can leave that up here in the cards for you also. And I hope you give this a try. It's really easy. As long as you get in that rhythm of stuffing the pupusas, no big deal. Very quick. And I'm not sure if I have my griddles down low or lower than the original creator, Claudia, did them. She said 1 to 2 minutes per side. Mine ended up being like 4 minutes per side, but I was kind of scared of burning them, so I have my griddles down on medium low, maybe turn those up a little bit. But But I hope you give this recipe a try, and if you want to join along, I'm gonna put a little Mexican or Hispanic food playlist over here, and you can check out some other recipes of that ethnicity, I guess, basically. I love Mexican, Hispanic food, and I do a lot of that in my cooking. So you can check out these recipes, and I'll put my logo over here, and you can hit this and follow along and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.